Well, welcome in. We're back. Back like we never left because we really didn't. In fact, we're still in the studio. Ryan is not here. He's going to 1057 to do his hot stove show.
Which might be interrupted.
Yeah, which might very well be interrupted. But we come to you live as breaking news hits. Why? Because the Baltimore Ravens officially have their guy. That's right. Jesse Minter is officially the fourth head coach in Ravens franchise history, coming over from Jim Harbaugh's staff in LA with the Chargers. Minter's been here before, so he is familiar, and I think in the long run, it just felt like, especially towards the end, Brad, it felt like Minter was going to be the guy. And here we are. We knew it was going to happen the second we got off because, of course, it happens the second we go.
It's like we
Here
always
we
speak this into existence, like what's I don't even know what to say to that. It's I will say this, I am excited. This is something that I wasn't opposed to. What I've liked a Clint Kubiak over a Jesse Minter, sure, but I think it's more of like a 1 and 1A type of choice. These are my after Saleh left, because Saleh was kind of like somebody that I thought had personified what it meant to be a Raven, just seeing him on the field and stuff. But like after that, what was left of the coaching carousel, I thought that Jesse Minter made a lot of sense. I was also thinking like maybe Anthony Weaver could have made some sense too. But love that it's a defensive minded head coach. I am really excited as to who he wants or who he thinks should be the new OC. What are your thoughts on that, Zach?
It's every rumor that we're seeing right now is pointing to Cliff Kingsbury. Apparently, this is just a rumor mill. Apparently, Lamar wants Cliff. Like, that is Lamar's guy right now. That's who he wants. We'll see. We'll see. Obviously, I think that is the quote-unquote betting favorite right now, but things change.
Yeah.
Obviously, if Cliff gets a job, let's say like the Raiders suddenly hire him as their head coach, he's going to go there. But it does seem like Cliff Kingsbury at the moment is going to be the guy because Jesse Minter, defensive guy. I'll say this, Derwin James, Tony Jefferson, a lot of people already weighing in actually about how much they love Jesse Minter. Derwin James says these guys play hard for him. He is a brilliant mind. Tony Jefferson, former Baltimore Raven who just absolutely loves the Ravens still.
Yeah.
He commented already on Twitter wishing Minter good luck. I think this is, at the moment, I'm loving this signing or at this hiring. I was between him and Kubiak.
Yeah.
I thought they needed a first-time head coach, some fresh blood, a new perspective. But I know people, a big thing I've been seeing is, well, I didn't want anyone tied to a Harbaugh tree. I didn't want that. I'm going to call it what it is. Everyone talks about Mike Mack. Oh, we missed out. Where do we think Mike Mack came from?
Right.
And it's actually almost the exact same process. Mike Mack over in Michigan as the defensive coordinator with Jim Harbaugh. Minter took over for Mike Mack.
Minter's also a Michigan guy.
Yep, exactly. Then he goes out, follows Jim to LA in the NFL, puts together an incredible run. I believe in the in the postseason games they've had over the past 2 years, past two games, I believe Minter's defense, if I read this correctly, they've allowed 3 touchdowns and have forced 5 turnovers. And that's something that's important. Minter's defenses force turnovers.
Yeah, something that the Ravens are certainly lacking this season. And then also, the edge rushing, which, of course, that'll weigh heavily on EDC going into the draft and that sort of thing, on getting some good edge rushing talent, which I have a lot of confidence in. So it'll be interesting, man. Jesse Minter, not a guy that I think that a lot of people thought like personified what it meant to be physical necessarily, especially out there being in LA. But you're right. Him being a part of that Harbaugh tree in more ways than one, with Michigan, and then obviously Jim Harbaugh, but also John with the Ravens. This is something, as you start to think about it and process, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and we want to talk about, actually, funny enough, I'm texting about this in a group chat with people right now. We want to talk about immediate, how is this maybe system different? Well, we already have kind of a prime example. How about Odafe Owe?
Yeah, that's a great point.
Went from the Ravens mid-season,
No
0
sacks.
sacks,
Yeah.
goes out to LA. He's in Minter's system. All of a sudden, he looks like the Odafe Owe the Ravens had hoped for.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was systematic. Maybe it was he felt freer there, whatever it may be. But Jesse Minter, this is a guy that players have all said they love playing for. They want to be around. I mean, I've already told a few people this. That video that we talked about of him waving, going across the field to wave away the Ohio State Buckeyes, that's some grit I want. That's that competitiveness. We want to physically beat you, and then I'm going to let you know we did it. That's the kind of attitude. And I see people talking about, similarities. He's been in Baltimore. Some people take that as a negative. I say that as a positive because he knows the standard. It wasn't like he was DC here. Right. It wasn't like he was a high-end coach. He got to see what the standard was here, what the infrastructure was here. Then he goes out. He carves his own path, very similar to Mike Macdonald. And now we come back here in 2026. He has the keys. He is the head honcho. And I think that this guy is going to hopefully, and this is all speculative because, hey, we don't know. This is his first head coaching job. I'm very excited for the Jesse Minter era in Baltimore.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. If you guys are just tuning in, Ryan is his committing to his radio obligations right now, but we couldn't pass up an opportunity to talk about and react to what's going on here with the head coach now being appointed to the Ravens, which is the former defensive coordinator for the LA Chargers, Jesse Minter. Now, I know that you said there's rumors around Cliff Kingsbury being the OC, Zach, but do you think that that's something that really would happen? Do you see that? Because in my opinion, I'm kind of indifferent. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of Cliff Kingsbury, just because maybe it's because of the hand he was dealt in Arizona. Maybe it's because the hand he was kind of dealt in Washington just this past season. Obviously, the season before did incredibly well with the talent that he had, Jaden Daniels being one of them, but then the surrounding talent wasn't all that great. So for them to get to the NFC championship game was impressive. Nevertheless, I mean, would you be happy with the Kingsbury or someone else?
So personally, I'm one of those people where same thing as you. It kind of when someone says, "Hey, Cliff Kingsbury is going to be the OC. He's going to be the coach." Cliff Kingsbury is the head coach. I would have hated. I'm just gonna be honest. Yeah. I don't trust that. We've seen what happens. I think he's a great college coach. Don't think he's a great head coach in the National Football League. But hey, like you pointed out, it wasn't like he was handed a handful of spades or a handful of aces in Arizona. I mean, he got a pretty crappy hand there. If the rumors are true, at least speculatory rumors, that Lamar is kind of like, hey, this is the guy I want, then I'm in.
Yeah.
If that's truly who Lamar wants to work with, he sees that offense, because we're getting some more maybe ideas that Lamar was involved in the interview processes, talking to guys. So I think that if Minter wants Kingsbury, awesome. If Lamar wants Kingsbury, that's a done deal for me, because the whole point of this is to keep Lamar happy and get the most out of Lamar. We always talked about, get an offensive-minded head coach to get, bring the best out of Lamar, take him to that next level. If Lamar wanted Kingsbury, I don't think you wanted him as your head coach. So I think this is best of both worlds. If, hey, you're keeping your star quarterback happy, he's getting the guy he wants to call plays, and then you're getting your defensive guy, that young up-and-comer in Jesse Minter, that can go out there and hopefully take over and kind of bring let's bring some edge back to Baltimore. Let's bring some grit and toughness back to this defense. I saw in the chat, no more prevent defense. Can we leave prevent defense in the old era of Baltimore Ravens football? Let's get aggressive. Let's make some moves. And like we said, let's turn the ball over. Let's force some turnovers, because that's what matters. If you have a star defense, a good defense that you can lean on, So many times in this playoff, we've already seen it. Offenses are great. They're going to score points. It's how can you get that stop? How can you get that massive turnover?
Yeah.
That changes the game completely. If they're able to bring more turnovers to the defense and set the offense up for success, at the end of the day, a Lamar Jackson run offense with Derrick Henry, with Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews. I know he's not the fan favorite all the time anymore, but you have the weapons. You get a defense that can put them into success. Perfect example. Furthest the Ravens went in the playoffs under Lamar Jackson, AFC Championship in 2023. That was one of the best defenses we've seen. You get a defense for Lamar to be able to play freely and know that they're going to set him up for success. That's how you win in the NFL in 2026. Is you go out there, you have a defense that can get the job done, knowing that your offense, you have your star power there that's going to put the ball in the end zone when they need it.
Well, and we've seen that. I mean, look at particularly in the AFC and obviously NFC too, because when we're talking about the Seahawks specifically, but really the AFC, that was more apparent, right? With Denver, of course, still in it and going to championship Sunday, even to a certain extent, the Patriots have a really decent defense to be able to support Drake May and that offense on that side of the ball. But even before, Houston, obviously we knew they kind of imploded there offensively, but the defense was absolutely there, and you have some pieces. I think Houston will be back once they figure out what the hell's going on with CJ Stroud and company. But that defense was no joke. And really, I think we're starting to see a little bit more of that. Hey, defenses can still win championships. And obviously Baltimore always has subscribed to that. And so it's good to see that there's now a new DC at the helm.
Yeah. And I just think that's this new energy because he kind of gives me the vibe of what you've seen and, hearing players talk about him of he's kind of got that old school Ravens vibe. He's been there. He was here when it was the standard of defense. He was in Baltimore when it was, you don't give up points. That is the standard. We don't. Past 2 years, especially to start the season, that's not Baltimore football.
No,
you don't lose 41-40 games. That's like that week 1 to Buffalo. That doesn't happen in Baltimore. You score 41 or 40 points, you win that ball game.
Yes.
So I think going defense, and listen, I'm not taking a shot at Harbaugh not being a good, none of that.
No,
but I think there's something said to have a guy who has a discipline. Harbaugh was a special teams guy. He was a leader. He was someone who he did not really have as much. He wasn't calling plays on offense or defense. I think having a guy who has their expertise, he knows we are going to be a physical defensive team that, oh, by the way, you look at our offense, we got Mr. 2-time MVP Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
We got Zay Flowers. We got Derrick Henry. We're going to score points, and you're not scoring on us. If he can go in and do what he's done the past 2 games, playoff games with the Chargers, like I said, only allowed 3 touchdowns and forced 5 turnovers. That's how you win games. We talk about it all the time. The biggest thing that has held the Ravens back in the postseason, in the playoffs, it's not that Lamar isn't doing enough.
Closing out.
Yeah, it's closing out. Has Lamar had great games in the playoffs? No. He is, but when you look at so many, I think it's like something crazy stat, like the Ravens offensive inputs in the playoffs have been some of the worst historically. So how do you counter that? Well, they kept on trying to, what if we had offense? What if we had offense? What if we had offense? And then it started clicking. Lamar goes down and, they score the touchdown versus Buffalo to tie the game. He leads them down versus Pittsburgh in week 17 to give them an opportunity. And then somewhere either the defense gave up, you couldn't get that turnover to set them up.
Yeah.
So the Ravens, they've been turning the ball over way too much in the playoffs, and they're not getting turnovers in the playoffs. If you can switch that, if you can have a defense that's actually going to take the ball away, and so maybe you negate that 1 or 2 turnovers that seem to have broken the Ravens and Lamar Jackson's back recently in the playoffs. We saw it from Josh Allen this year. It's like that one play where it's like the Spin-a-Rooney fumble. It feels like, as a Ravens fan, I was like, oh, I've seen that play before. It's just that playoff, feeling.
Playoffs.
Yeah, playoffs. I think this is a guy, if we can get more.
Just putting this up here, Zach. So Sam Cohn from The Sun tweeted out that a statement from Steve Bisciotti saying that in his statement that Jesse Minter was impressive throughout our incredibly thorough interview process. And he's also a leader who will authentically connect with our players and inspire them to championship levels. And honestly, like that's what Bisciotti was very clear about that in his press conference of just like, hey, like I don't know how much longer I'm going to be, owning this team. I want to get a few championships under my belt before I, ride off into the sunset. So it seems as if there is a good feeling about, this hire. And again, going back to that defensive mindset, that's the Raven way, man. I mean, that's all this town knows, fans know of the Ravens is those tough physical defenses, which have been lacking really since Lamar came into the league. It's kind of been with exception to 2023. I would say that was the strongest year defensively for the Ravens. But outside of that, there hasn't been really like that tough physical defense that you're used to seeing.
Yeah, there hasn't been. And something that I do think gets taken into account here is, and Steve Bisciotti had alluded to it a little bit, Jesse Minter is 42 years old. Steve said he doesn't want to make another coaching change in 5 years.
Yes.
He doesn't want to make another one in 4 years, in 6 years. This is a guy that they hope is the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens for the next 18 years, like Harbaugh.
Right. Well, he hired Harbaugh at what, 45?
Yeah, 45, because Harbaugh's 63,
yeah.
18 years. So Minter, 42. I think that this is a guy that they're hoping takes the reins and doesn't give it back for the next decade and a half, because that's kind of where the NFL's been going. And I do love that it is a young first-time head coach that brings this new life, who hasn't been a part of that old school football where it's like, hey, I don't want to say stuck in your ways, but sometimes the game has evolved so much. Let's get a young offensive mind in here. Let's go get a Cliff Kingsbury. I'm seeing Joe Brady and Cliff Kingsbury are kind of the two guys that Ian Rappaport just put up. He said, among the head coach candidates, the Ravens interviews are a few who could be considered for head OCs, including Joe Brady and Cliff Kingsbury if they don't land head jobs. I still think they're going to lean to Cliff.
Joe Brady would be sick. I wouldn't be happy. I would be happy with that.
Yeah, I feel like he just kind of relies on Josh Allen a little too much, but meaning kind of what we saw in like a Greg Roman offense when it got to the point and it was like near the goal line or in a big play, then it was like,
that's fair.
Lamar, just please go make something. It's like they literally line Lamar up in shotgun and be like, please just find the first down, bro. Please. I think Kingsbury would be more. I would love for Kingsbury. We need the run game with him. He's a very talented pass attack artist. He air raid offense, but we're still the Ravens. They need if it does seem like they need to keep the run game.
Yeah, I agree. It does seem like too that there's this and Kyle Van Noy, I don't know if you caught him on McAfee today. He talked about how like younger players are shifting more towards X's and O's type of coaches, rather than a CEO. Hey, I'm just going to run everything type of leader, type of head coach. And it seems as if to me, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that Jesse Minter kind of fits that bill.
Yeah, he definitely does. And this is exactly, not taking shots at everyone, a quote unquote team leader type guy in my mind would have been the Anthony Weaver hire.
Yeah.
That's hey, this is a leader of men.
Yeah.
This is a guy that connects to a room. He commands the room, and they know who is the head honcho. He's going to get them to where they need to go. It's that type of coach. I think that's Anthony Weaver. Everyone we talk to, Kubiak, Pettin, all these coaches rave about Anthony Weaver. I think he's going to get a head coaching job, if not this cycle, in the next few.
I would hate for him to be our Steelers.
I would hate for that. I would hate
to go to Pittsburgh.
Would absolutely hate that. But I do, to your point, I think Minter fits that young up-and-coming X's and O's guys.
Yeah.
There was a video that surfaced a few hours ago, maybe it was last night, of actually Jesse Minter going to the side with Derwin James and teaching him how they wanted this, this stunt pulled. And he sat there and Derwin's talking about how easy it is to follow what he's saying and how good of a connector and a coach he is. Derwin then talks about how guys want to play for him. It's a guy that people want to go to war for. That's what they need, is that they needed that edge back. And listen, Harbaugh's a great coach. It is not bad to say the message got stale. There was less energy. I mean, hell, I'll say this. You look at Harbaugh's final weeks, months in Baltimore compared to his press conference in the New York Giants, you see new life for him. It's a fresh start, new life.
I think that he'll be great for the Giants because the Giants don't have a culture, and he's the culture guy that you need. So we talked about it on the show multiple times that we think that, when something like this happens with Harbaugh leaving, and I believe Andy Reid had mentioned the same thing to Harbaugh himself, that like it could be good for everybody. And I think that's exactly what's about to happen.
Yeah. And I'm excited. I really am. I was between Minter and Kubiak. I know people had kind of floated Shula. I still think he's the Steelers guy. And it would not surprise me at all if Shula versus Minter, two young defensive coordinators, X's and O's guys, Ravens, Steelers. That seems like the making of a 10-year rivalry right there between those two.
Yeah.
And I just love the passion. I love the fire that they are getting out of Minter. I was hoping so bad that they would go first-time head coach with a little fire, get that young up-and-comer, the guy that everyone wants to play for. I'm not going, and this is something I want all of us, including in the chat, to do. We are not expecting, he doesn't need to be Mike McDonald.
No.
He doesn't. This is Jesse Minter. This is not Mike McDonald. Let Jesse Minter have his own path. Let him carve his own way, because Mike Mack is doing his thing in Seattle, and Jesse Minter's going to come here and do what Jesse Minter does. And I'm excited. It's only you only get a few moments, Brad, where you can right your wrongs. And the Ravens let a young mastermind defensive coordinator walk out the door, because let's be honest, there was no way you were firing Harbaugh after an AFC championship hosting game.
No.
Which you lose to then the eventual two-time back-to-back champs, Kansas City Chiefs. That happens. I think this was them seeing another young defensive mind that guys love to play for, that understands the culture of Baltimore. You don't have to reset a culture. It's still the Ravens. He's been here. He knows that, but he puts his own spin on it. I think that's the guy you want, and I could not be more fired up that Jesse Minter. Now we're going to have to see who they hire as the OC. I actually see people talking about the run game from Joe Brady. That would be fun. I would if Joe Brady can bring his run concepts, that would be a lot of fun.
Very true.
If only we could get a mixture of Brady and Cliff Kingsbury, although that would probably be a head coach.
Yeah.
That feels like one of those two end up being the guys. Very excited to see, because they will bring in a defensive coordinator still, whether Minter calls the plays or not.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if that they need a veteran though on the staff,
for sure,
somewhere for an assistant head coach. But I'm very, very, very excited about this.
Yeah, me too. And I'm just kind of excited to see what he has to say. Press conference, I'm sure, will be within the coming days.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see Steve Bisciotti again. That'll be awesome.
Yeah,
I
can't wait to hear
twice in one off season. Are you kidding me?
It's like Christmas,
right? So, no, man, I'm with you. I think this is something we've been anticipating a while for. I mean, in the coaching carousel, we saw 4 other coaches being hired before Minter got hired. So it's just kind of been one of those things where you're on the edge of your seat waiting to see what happened. And
you knew it was going to happen as soon as we
I know.
got off air.
You know what's going to happen? As soon as we sign off here,
Framber.
Framber's going to get signed.
Without a doubt. We're not leaving this place.
No.
We're not leaving. They're just going to keep on. And then the Orioles or someone will make a trade. They'll hire Kingsbury as soon as we get off that one. But as we kind of start to wrap up, wanted to give our obviously live reaction as it's happening. But if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Neither of us is Ryan Ripken. No. Ryan had to go to 105.7 after our first show to do the hot stove from 6 to 7 o'clock over there. But the content couldn't stop. We had to hop on to talk about this because it's a big day. The Ravens have only had 4 head coaches in their entire history. It's not as impressive as the Steelers only having 4 in theirs.
Yeah, 4. Well, 4 over 60 years.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a standard when you come to head coach the Baltimore Ravens. You are here for the long haul. Steve Bisciotti doesn't do coaching cycles every other year.
Right.
That's not how he rolls. He found a guy in Minter that he truly believes is going to connect with the players and lead them to that next level. I think the message got stale with Harbaugh. I think the energy lowered, especially as expectations rose and they failed to meet them.
Yep.
You can't deny it. Coming into this season, being Super Bowl favorites, the odds-on favorites to lift the Lombardi, and then you're sitting at 1-5 thinking, are we already done? That's hard to come back from. It felt like this whole organization needed an uprooting. They needed someone to light a fire in them, and no one better than a young, defensive-minded fireball coming over from, hey, I understand it's a hardball tree, but we've seen it work out. And one final thing about that. It is so hard to find a guy that's not in a hardball tree right now. They are all and if we're going to be honest, it's all the Andy Reid tree.
Yeah.
It's all the Andy Reid tree. You either pick from the Andy Reid tree or the Mike Shanahan tree. Yep. There are two trees in the NFL this year. It's the Shanahan and Kubiaks or the Andy Reid tree. That's it. Yep. That's what we got. You got those two trees to pick from these days.
Exactly.
So appreciate everyone for tuning in. Wanted to do our quick reaction. Hit that like and subscribe button. We will be live tomorrow. Once again, 3 to 5. Just had Jordan Westberg on earlier today. If you go back yesterday, we had Gary Kubiak, Super Bowl winning head coach with the Broncos, also former Ravens offensive coordinator. We've had Mike Pettin on this week. We've had a ton of guys come on. Teddy Buchanan, Ravens rookie linebacker, was on with us yesterday as well. Go check those videos out. We will be back tomorrow for another edition of the Ryan Ripken Show, and we will see you all then or later when Framber signs.
Yeah, see you guys.
See ya.